Hello everyone, we are here again with the Jiu-Jitsu Café podcast. Today, my guest is Black Belt, second degree from Carlson Gracie Senior. He's a Judo brown belt practitioner. He's running his gym in Chicago and have an amazing insight about his personal life, how to running a gym properly. He has podcasts, he has YouTube channel about techniques. He's simply outstanding. So stay tuned, click subscribe and hit the bell. Okay? See you then, guys. Ooh.
This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is brought to you by BJJ Connections, connecting BJJ practitioners and athletes all over the world, including lifestyle, competitions, and much more. Follow BJJ Connections on social media for their amazing content. They are in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And this episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Cervical Kimonos. Action is everything. The famous gi brand in the UAE and Middle East. Also, they are all over Europe and shipping worldwide. Cervical Kimonos, action is everything.
Hello everyone, we are here again with the Jiu-Jitsu Café podcast, and today with my special guest, Thomas Rozdzynski. I spell it good?
Oh yeah, that was perfect. You do it better than some of the guys over here. Thanks for having me.
No, it's my pleasure, bro. It's my pleasure. How are you doing over there?
Oh, we're doing well. I mean, it's challenging times for everybody, but we're doing well. Academy is doing well. We're trying to make adjustments as needed, and trying to continue training and continue inspiring our students and continue doing, what we love doing, which is jiu-jitsu.
Great. By the way, guys, I'm a really fan of this guy's show, the RŌL Radio. We're talking about a little bit more about his show on this episode as well. Thomas, if you don't mind, I like to start the show asking my guest about his childhood, his teenager time. For the guys who didn't know you yet, they start to know your background.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's actually quite interesting, I think. I was born in Poland. And I came to United States with my dad when I was a young teenager. And not much was different back then, until I was in my early 20s, and at that time, that's when my jiu-jitsu journey started, about the year 2000. And the way it was interesting how it all started, because in my teens and as I was getting into my 20s, I was really not physically active. I was I was quite overweight, and I had some health issues and other things, and I was really just working. I was really just working, and I was getting heavier and bigger, but as I was working, my boss, he trained jiu-jitsu, and he started telling me, you should try it. And I was like, nah, I don't want to try it. Oh, you should try it. And I was like, no, I don't. But he was doing it for months. He kept bothering me and just talking about it. And he was showing me videos and things and books. And finally, I was like, fine, I will do it. Just leave me alone. Just don't talk to me anymore. I'm going to go one time and that's it. True story. And I went once. I went the first time, and I had the privilege
sure. But I felt like humble from yourself, this kind of attitude, because many guys, when they reach some level in anything in life, right? If you are, I'm a general manager in a big company, or I'm CEO and blah, 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 or even in a martial art, I'm black belt on this. Why should I go to the white belt level again and start to learn again? Even on your case, as you said, you come with supposed to know some techniques, something about that sport, and then the sensei said, no, forget everything about this. I'll teach you the pure attitudes or knowledge or situations in that new martial art, right? That's a very nice mindset, because most of people nowadays, they have a strong ego.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And it's, it's hard. It's hard to have that approach to life when you have these opportunities, when you have to grow, you have to get better, you always have driving for something new. So sometimes it's difficult to step back and say, I want to learn. I want to start again and start learning again, But I always think about it this. My job right now is to make sure that my students get the best that they can. And, there are jiu-jitsu guys and judo guys who are by far better than me. I mean, they're just, phenomenal, top world level. But it's my job for me to continue learning, to continue get better. I feel like my part of my role is to make sure that my students get better. And you know what? One day, and I tell my students all the time, I want my students to be better than me. Like,
yeah,
I want one day, I want my students to tap me out. I want my students to throw me. Not too hard, because I got to work next day. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? I want them to be good. I want them to get better. And if you continuously think that I'm the best, it's just, I don't know. It's just not, they won't get there,
Yeah, I guess that's not the real purpose of being a black belt, especially in BJJ, because BJJ is constantly changing, constantly improvements, of course, now with this COVID thing, the things get a little bit slowly, but normally in 2 months, 3 months, this guy start doing this right now in the tournament, and everything start to copy and adapt, and then some other guy creates some defense or some counterattack, and man, that's really incredible. How someone supposed to be the best guy on the mat forever? That's really no make sense. That this mindset you show here is simply outstanding, bro.
Well, I appreciate that. I think we need some of that out there.
Yeah. I usually say that also, because if I'm the best guy in the room, I don't improve myself, right?
Oh.
If nobody make me tap, if nobody put me in a risk, I don't gonna improve my level or my skills or anything like this, right?
Yeah, I mean, my one of my instructors a long time ago told me, victories are great, gold medals are great. I mean, they show a level of success, but you never learn from the wins. You always learn from failures, right? So having the ability of saying, what can I learn? This didn't go well. How can I improve this? That's where you grow. That's when you get better. That's where you continue just developing skills. And it doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu. It could be anything.
Yeah.
This is where you get better and better and better. And I think, in my mind, at least, that's I'm hoping I'm going to be like 80 with a cane, and I'm going to get on the mat and I'm still going to be asking questions, and, I'm hoping.
Yeah, definitely. I touch in a point a few seconds before about COVID. How you deal with COVID in your academy? How was that situation? This crazy thing for our 2020, bro.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Jiu-Jitsu is one of those sports where obviously we are very close with each other. And it's we've done several things at the academy to make sure that our students are safe. We put filtration system, air filtration systems, and we had to separate classes. We had to make sure that students, they can train, but they can train with only certain groups. So we grouped people. So if somebody does get sick, it doesn't spread everywhere. And I think so far we've had a really good success with that approach. But at the same time, I do feel that we are lucky. We are lucky that everybody's healthy up to this point, and nothing really happened. So it's hard. It's hard, I think, because obviously, you want everybody to stay healthy, and at the same time, we do want to continue training, and then academy is a business too. Academy makes money for the employees, for obviously for me, that's what I do for a living. I don't have any other job, right? So as much as closing academy for a short period of time was an option, it's hard with these things, and I think a lot of instructors out there will share a similar view with me. So it's a very fine balance. You have to figure out within your community, within your students, within your group, within your city, what works best, and how do you do it so it's safe, but at the same time, you continue operating as much as you can, and I think what we are seeing around the world, is that those kind of extremes, left and right, there's nothing in the middle. Some people say COVID doesn't exist and blah, blah, blah. And then, nobody's going to get sick. And the other side says close everything. And, unfortunately, academies close.
Everybody's going to die. It's the end of the world.
So, I'm not a doctor. I don't, there are people smarter than me to talk about COVID and how dangerous the virus is and all that. But I do know that we've done everything that we can in our academy to make sure that we clean several times a day. We have groups of people and they train together and if something was to happen, we address it immediately, and it's that's a point of pride in a way that me and my team has done to make sure that everybody's safe. Who wants to be there, and if so it happens that you want to wait until this stops and we are better, then you can wait. I'm not a big fan of forcing people to do what they don't want to do. So but it's a hard spot. It's really difficult, I think, especially for things like wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, any contact sport, even things like soccer. I know it's difficult, like basketball. I mean, even those sports, it's very difficult for them. So it's not only jiu-jitsu being impacted by it, but it's just everybody all together. So.
Yeah. In my opinion, Jiu-Jitsu is even worse because the lifestyle, we meet each other, we get a fist bump, we hug each other, and hey, come on, man, how are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's different, except for some special guy, but I don't see here in Brazil judo guys meet each other like this,
Yeah, I agree.
Even other martial artists, but jiu-jitsu have a different vibe, right? So for us,
so why do you think that is? Why
know.
do you think jiu-jitsu guys are so close?
Yeah, maybe because of Rio de Janeiro vibe, because there is the motherland of BJJ, and the people there is like this. They are I just invite few people. If you are birthday party, okay? You're gonna send me an invitation and say, no, I just called to few people. And then when you reach the house, have 100 people over there. I said,
It's few.
just my close friends come today. I said, man, what the fuck? It's crazy. So
Yeah.
I guess that's one of the reasons. That's why jiu-jitsu become popular very quickly, because if you think about this, it's nearly to 100 years.
Yeah.
It's almost nothing.
It's
If you compare with many other sports like wrestling,
I mean,
yeah,
wrestling.
boxing,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
it have 1,000 of years, right?
Yeah.
But I think I have this in my mind. The BJJ vibe is different because of the motherland, because Rio de Janeiro is everybody's friend, everybody except the outlaw guys, but everybody's friends. Everybody meet each other, go to the beach, go surfing, go to BJJ, go play beach soccer, and many things, and they transfer these situations to BJJ, and then they spread around the world.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, no matter where you go in the world, you can feel that vibe of jiu-jitsu. And it's, what's funny? It's like, I think anytime you meet a jiu-jitsu guy and you don't know them, like, I'll tell you a true story. This is true story. I'm at the airport, and this is like a year ago or 2 years ago, but I'm at the airport, and I'm getting water from the fountain, right? I'm filling up my bottle. And guy behind me is like really close behind me, and I look back, and then I look back, and he
What's
goes,
going
hey,
wrong?
hey, what's going on, man? And I was like, what's up, man? And we start talking. I was like, oh, he was like, you trained? Because he knows my ears, And I was like, oh, you train? I, yeah, I train. Where you train? And we start talking, and we talking for like 25 minutes, and then they are calling my flight. They was like, flight. I was like, I gotta go, and he's like, what's your name? I was like, oh, I'm here. This is my number. Like, and to this day we talk, and it was completely random. And I don't know any other sport. I don't know, I don't know any other sport that this would happen. I mean, like the jiu-jitsu guys, you see somebody across the room or across the hallway, like, oh yeah, he trains. Oh yeah. What's up, man? What's up?
We have that feeling, right?
Yeah. So
that's weird and outstanding at the same time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, how many friends do you have that you went into a tournament, you fought them in the tournament, then they are your friends after that?
Exactly.
Oh, I was just talking to one of Rafael, one of my guys. He lives in New York. He's at Hanzo's, and like at the brown belt, we've met at the brown belt, and we, like, to this day we text, and like we fought each other, So
yeah, here's the same, man. And I know you are the guest, but I also have an interesting story about this BJJ situations.
Yeah.
In 2015, I was living in UAE because I was teaching over there, and on the holiday there, I guess 5 days, 6 days like this, I planned to visit a friend in Pakistan because it's very close. And then I send some emails to academies over there. I will be there. Can I train over there with you guys and blah, blah, blah. Then the guy from the National Federation at that time said, no, you came and you give some seminars because the highest guy here was a blue belt at that time. And you stayed in my house. And I said, man, this guy don't even know who I am.
Don't know you. Yeah.
How he can invite me to stay at his home with his family if I'm the wrong guy,
Yeah.
But we don't have this kind of doubt, right?
Yeah.
That means, of course, in jiu-jitsu we have bad guys like any other profession, but it's so few of them. Then that means we can trust in 99% of the guys, right?
Yeah. Do you think that happens because every day on the mat we try to choke each other, break our arms, submit each other, and we develop this trust,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, I mean, you essentially put your life in somebody's hands, right? I mean, if they are choking you and you tap and they don't let go, well, that's a bad day, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's weird and outstanding at the same time because, an example, imagine we both on the mat and I try to choke you or try to get some, I don't know, wrist lock, foot lock, heel hook, I don't know. And then you get me at the same situations or any other situations. And then when we finish it, what we gonna do? Okay, man, that's a
That's it.
good,
That's
yeah,
it.
that's a good
That was
rolling
a good
session.
day,
That's
good train. Let's do it
amazing.
again.
Yeah, that's completely insane.
Yeah. 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 Only in jiu-jitsu. Only in
Yeah,
jiu-jitsu. I don't know
but
any other place.
yeah, but I think it's really because of that we can build these kind of relationships like a
Oh,
brotherhood.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's what makes it so successful, I think. Because imagine if that trust didn't exist, right? And you have a brand new student. They've never done jiu-jitsu and they step on the mat and experience like this happen to them, they would never come back. They would never come back, right? So developing that trust is so important. And then if you do this 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you get your black belt and you start teaching, and like you transfer that feeling, that vibe to others, and that's just how it's spreading, right? And that's why it's so young, because 100 years is not that it's not that old.
Yeah.
It's so young, right? And it's growing so fast, so fast. That's why I think this COVID situation is difficult. But the moment this is done, I'm pretty sure that life is not going to be the same as it was before, but I'll tell you this, the moment this is done, everybody is going to be back on the mat, and the people who didn't train jiu-jitsu before it, they even more are going to come. I think jiu-jitsu is going to explode after this, and I think it's going to happen sooner than everybody thinks. I think it's going to be soon, like next year, very soon, in a few months.
Yeah,
So,
I agree, bro. Uh, on that days and nowadays, it's hard to get the new practitioners, right? Because of all these stuffs. It's totally complicated. You said to someone who never tried this, said, no, just come. I will choke you. I will breathe close to you, and everything's gonna be all right. That's crazy.
yeah,
Maybe if the guy just think about this, they will close his academy right now. But
yeah,
on the near future, like you said, I think the same way than you, the jiu-jitsu will explode, and
yeah.
many academies, many clubs will open after this COVID shit.
Yeah, I agree. We need to get through it. We need to get through, I think, the spring of next year. It's a few more months. And I was just talking to one of my friends just a couple days ago, and it's, if you look at it, the next few months, it seems like a hard thing to do because it's extra few months, but look back, we've been through it for 8 months now. I
Yeah.
mean, this started beginning of the year, right? We've been through all of this for 8 months. So extra few months is nothing. This is nothing. It's nothing. We're gonna get through it, and it's gonna blow it up. We all gonna do jiu-jitsu. That's it.
Yeah.
You're gonna come to Chicago. We're gonna roll together. You're gonna tap me out. That's it.
Uh, Thomas, and you said you start with Master Carlson Gracie Senior, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
share with us, please, the vibe on the mats and the situations, because he is pretty unique, right?
Yeah.
Of course, probably you learn words like creonchi,
Oh.
like puka, and many other words. But the day by day with Master Carson, share with us, please.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you, it was a very, very unique experience. Very unique. And there was few factors. Now, keep in mind that, this is in Chicago in the United States, right? So majority of people who attend, are English speaking, right? So it's and Carlson Senior, he didn't speak a lot of English. It was just few words. He said good. Oh, he used to say, in Jiu-Jitsu, I'm a black belt. In English, white belt 3 stripes. He used to say that. He used to say that all the time. So, but you know what? Here's the interesting thing. After 20 years doing this, one huge thing that I always remember and I always kind of stuck with me for a long time is that his passion and his love was visible the moment you walked into the room. So you walked into the room and it was, oh, Thomas, you here? Oh, come, hug, bump, hold. You felt like you were the world. You felt like you were the best of the best of the best. And then you start training. And then things change because Carlson showed you, like 5 techniques. That's it. Well, maybe it was like 20, but you know what I mean. It was There was no fancy stuff. None of that. It was smash passing, it was choking, and there were a few arm bars. That's it. There was those, and it was. I have a story. I remember. It was I brought a book one day, and to the academy, and I said, Carlson, look at this, and I showed him I don't remember what the technique was, but I showed him the technique, and I was like, Carlson, look at this. What do you think? And he took that book, threw it out.
Threw it out.
Blah, 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 blah. Something I have no idea what he said, but he was yelling at me in Portuguese, and he goes, go, open guard. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not showing him anything anymore. but that's how he was. He was just so passionate, and he didn't want you to know 50 or 100 or 200 things. He wanted you to be a master of 5. All he wanted you to pass the guard, get on top, cross choke. That's it. Simple as that. Like, and I remember, there were so many stories, but I remember like us training, and he always did like these shark tanks, like one guy in the middle and 20 guys, and everybody's changing, and you in the bottom. And if you didn't escape, oh, he was yelling at you. You had to, and it didn't matter. You are small, big. They are big on top of you. It doesn't matter. You had to escape all the time. There was so much passion in all of this, and it was crazy. It was crazy. And then after every training, we began to eat. After every training, we got coffee. Life was good, and then back again. And if you didn't show up, Thomas, where are you?
What's going wrong?
Why are you not here? Why are you not training? Carlson was he was a unique guy, man. I miss him. He was a great man, a pioneer of what it is today, what we have today, and for those lucky ones who had the privilege to learn from him and be there, I guarantee you they'll tell you the same story over and over and over.
Yeah. I can imagine, bro, because I was working in UAE, like I said, and I met a few guys, like 5-6 guys, was maybe 6 degrees on black belt, and they are direct students from Carlson Gracie Senior, like first group of get the black belt, second group like this, and man, every weekend night after training sessions, we met each other in some place, and the guys start to talking about the Carlson stories. Everybody get shut the fuck mouth up and just pay attention to that stories.
Yeah.
Yes. That's great, because sometimes the guy said, "Oh, that tournament then was funny and this and that," and then someone said, "Oh, one time with Carson," and 2 seconds, 3 seconds after that, you can just hear his voice.
Oh, I
Yeah,
have a
because
story for
he's
you.
legendary.
I have a story for you. So I'm a white belt, and I went to the tournament. I'm at the tournament, and I'm in the mat. Like we're competing. We're going right, and I don't remember details, but I remember I was in the guard, and the guy throws a triangle. He catches me in a triangle, and it was tight. And I'm like, like this is going through my. I remember like going through, like I put my hand up and I was about to tap, and then I hear Carson, and he was like on the other side of this huge room, like 5 meters away. He goes like, "Boy, no triangle," and I exploded. I passed the guy, and I won. And Carson comes up and was like, "Good job, good job." Like you could hear him through a whole gymnasium, like 20 mats, and you can hear him all across the entire room. Man. Yeah, you reminded me of that story. I remember that.
Yeah, and that's incredible because he has the power of changing the people attitudes. Like you an example of this. You're gonna tap, and then you heard him, and then said, "No, I don't wanna tap. Why are you gonna tap?" Right?
Oh, you know, if I tapped, he would destroy me next day. He would. No, man. I miss the guy. He was something else, changing the world of jiu-jitsu. So they recently put the statue. Right?
Yeah, on Copacabana Beach.
Yeah, Copacabana Beach. Did you have a chance to see that? Were you?
No, not yet.
Not
Because
yet,
on the middle of COVID thing, and the flights or buses from São Paulo to Rio was so crazy, you need to take many measures. And then some guys went to Rio, and then they said, "Man, in Rio it's like a normal life. Nothing happens. But to live here, to go there, you want to take many measures," and say, man, I don't have patience for this.
Yeah,
I can wait a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, it's my dream to go and see that. So it maybe one day. But I'm glad they were able to do it. I know I talked to Carlson Jr. about this, and I know he went through a lot of difficulties to get that done, and finally he was able to do it. He got all the approvals, and I know they raised the money. They were raising the money, and they've got it. So it is I think this is huge milestone for jiu-jitsu to recognize Carlson Gracie Senior for everything that he's done. So I mean, like, if you think about it, virtually almost, not all of them, but virtually a lot of the teams that are out there today, they all kind of started from Carlson Gracie Alliance or Gracie Baja, right?
Exactly. And additional thing, in my opinion, Thomas, even the guys who never represent Carlson Gracie team before, for sure they have some insights from him. They have some approach he used, and then they use on their classes to build their teams or whatever you want to say, because he's the icon of competition BJJ.
Absolutely.
Here in São Paulo, we usually said that BJJ competitions just exist nowadays because of Carlson efforts on the past, because of the 80s or even 70s, when they split from the regular guys of the family and said, "No, we want to do a different approach. We need to compete to check one is the best."
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, I mean that was definitely his thing. Like he always talked about music, and he also
French
talked about
music. He
French.
loves
Oh,
French music.
oh, music, food, and jiu-jitsu, fighting. That was his thing. That was his thing. You know, what is it called? We made this. I'll send you a link, but we made this movie, like a documentary about Carlson. I think this was like 10 years ago, but we made this and it's on YouTube. It's all for free. It's called The Simple Warrior. And I'm not going to give it away. You have to watch it, and your listeners should watch it too. But it's essentially the top guys in Chicago who trained with him, and they tell essentially the same story, but in their own words. Right. And they talk about training, they talk about going eat with him, and they talk about how he was and all that. And it is mind blowing to kind of reflect on that and then listen to those stories, you know. And then so it's I'll send you the link so you can share that with your guys. But it's always great to see that, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I will put on the description of this video and also on the podcast platforms, because everybody needs to watch a documentary like this. And Thomas, we are talking about competitions. Of course, is the heart of the competition, starting with Master Carlson Gracie. How was the competition sessions in Chicago in your time?
Yeah, it's, you know, with Carlson, you know, when he was alive, jiu-jitsu wasn't as big here at that time. We're talking about, you know, early 2000s. You know, I remember, like, we had to drive, you know, hours to the competitions. There was not many of them, you know. Right now, yeah, outside of COVID, the COVID is kind of ruining for everything. But outside of COVID, there is competition now, almost like twice a month.
Yeah.
You know, you can go almost anywhere and you can compete. Back then, you know, it was a couple times a year, and you had to drive sometimes 3-4 hours, you know, to do that. And even things like Pan Ams or Worlds, you know, those were not as accessible because those were in California or in Florida, and you know, the cost of going and traveling wasn't you know, as easy for most of us or most of the students, you know. So it wasn't as accessible as it is today. You know, I tell my students, in a way, students today, they're in a way spoiled. You know, they have it. I don't like easy. I don't think it's easier.
No, but they are lucky. They're lucky.
But they are lucky, right?
Yeah,
like
definitely.
Jiu-Jitsu is so big today that you can, first of all, you can essentially drive to any good Jiu-Jitsu academy, at least here. Like, you're in a major city, there's so many of them everywhere, right? So that's one. Two, if you want to compete, they are available all the time everywhere, you know. And then you have obviously teaching, learning at academies. There's instructors doing seminars everywhere. It's more accessible. And then, you know, everything is online, so you can easily find things. You can learn from that. I remember I had two books, and I kept reading the same book over and over and over and over. And then I didn't want to show Carlson because he would yell at me. But you know, it's like, that's all I had. I don't know about you, but so, but he was really passionate about competing in general, fighting in general. You know, when I remember Ultimate Fighter started, when UFC started, and guys like Miguel Torres and Stephan Bonner, you know, when they were getting ready, you know, like I was there. Like it was interesting to see all that, you know, and reflect back on it when these guys were getting ready, and we didn't know what they were getting ready for. Like, think about it. Now you know what UFC is. Yeah. Back then you didn't know what UFC was. Like, it was so small yet, right, at that time, right? So we were just rolling with these guys, you know. We were the ragdolls. They were throwing us, choking us every day.
it's kind of disgusting your memory. And you know, you mentioned Miguel Angel Torres. I remember one thing right now. You know Gracie Mag, right? It's very famous on our world.
Yeah.
Master Carlson send them the interview. I don't know, by email, by by a letter. I don't know. I know I was reading, and then he said on the interview on that magazine, I have the new skinny sensation here in Chicago.
Yeah.
He's called Miguel Angel Torres. Okay. And I pay attention because at that time I was representing Carlson Gracie's team here in São Paulo, and I said, oh, I need to check this first, then any other article on the magazine. And then like 6 months after that, I was watching WEC. And then I see this guy fighting and said, man, this is the guy. This is the guy what the Master Carlson said.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't even imagine one day I was talking with a black belt from Carlson Gracie on the other part of the continent, you know, because I'm essentially on the extreme south of South America, and then you end up north of United States, you know.
Yeah. So listen, I'll tell you kind of extension of the first day on the mat story. So when I stepped on the mat for the very first time, Carlson told me to go with Miguel.
Right.
He told me, and Miguel is, you know, he's little, right? And that was around the time when I was big. I was big. I was heavy, you know. And so he goes, you go, and I'm like, so then I'm thinking like, I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna kill this guy. What is this kid? And Miguel's a good friend of mine, so if he's listening to this, he's probably gonna laugh at this. But I'm thinking like, I'm gonna destroy this guy. What is this, right? Oh man, like I said, he tapped me like 50 times. I didn't know what was going on. Like it was just things were flying. It was like a dream. I remember sitting in the locker room and I was like, what just happened? Yeah, but I remember when Carlson went to Brazil one time, and I remember it's on YouTube somewhere. Like you got to find it, but it's somewhere on YouTube. But he went on national TV in Brazil, and he talked about Miguel being I think he called him a rooster.
Yeah. He was on Sport TV. He was a famous channel here because they are the only channel who showing UFC, WEC, and all these Events.
Yeah.
And he has open doors on this channel.
Oh, absolutely.
I remember that interview.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's great memories, man. It's like if you ever get a chance to talk to some of these guys, it's amazing. It's amazing. Actually, you know, I'll tell you this. On my podcast show, we had Rudy Jimenez, and he is one of Carlson's black belts. And what's interesting about Rudy is that Rudy drove Carlson between gym, home, and other places, right? So if you haven't heard that episode, listen to it because he shares some amazing stories. Being in a car and driving Carlson Gracie Senior. I don't know about you, but that's like the memories that I would love to be there. Man, can you imagine those conversations?
Yeah.
You're sitting, you're driving, and you're talking to Carlson. Oh.
Every single day, huh?
That's crazy, huh?
Yeah. Just for you know, bro, I have listened all your episodes.
Oh, thank you.
First of all, because I'm a podcast geek. You know, and second of all, because I'm the fan of your show. When I said the truth.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. You know, we try. We gotta go ahead.
I have a 10 favorite podcasts, right? Major of them, of course, about fighting in BJJ, and some of the other subjects. But when I said I'm the fan of the podcast, I listen all the episodes. Just for you have the just for you know, a friend of us, Ryan Ford, they're running the grappling center, right?
Yeah, I know Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening up to 400 episodes from him.
Yeah.
It's not all of his episodes, but is almost all of them, right?
Yeah. Well, he's the star. He's the pioneer of Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. One day we're gonna be famous like him. Maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
Not. No, it's Ryan Ford is Ryan Ford. But...
Yeah, he is the Carlson Gracie of Jiu-Jitsu podcast.
That's it.
And Thomas, how you deal with your injuries on the time? Are you still competing?
No, not anymore. You know, it's my focus. So I'll tell you, about 6 years ago, I opened my own academy.
Right.
And you know, interesting things happen when you open your own academy. And it is actually I'll tell you a true story. So my wife and I, we were dating at that time, and we were not married yet, you know. And I went to my wife and I said, "Hey, listen, I want to open a jiu-jitsu academy," you know. And she goes, "Okay." I was like, "Oh, that was easy." You know, I was like preparing how I'm gonna say it, what I'm gonna do, and this and that. She was like, "Okay, well, okay." So then, like a year later, you know, I'm talking to her, and she goes like, "If I knew what was going on, what this meant to have a jiu-jitsu, I would never agree to this." But so I was lucky in a way. But listen, it's you know, in Brazil maybe it's different. I don't know. I'm actually curious how it's in Brazil, but in here in US, when you have an academy, when you have business, it takes a lot of work, and often if you are the instructor, the head instructor, and you run the business, often the biggest sacrifice that you have to take is you know. So that, you know, anything from the amount that you train to things like competitions and just overall things that you have to do. You have to divide the time to make it successful, right? Especially in the very beginning, you know, you have to make it successful. You have to create an environment when students want to be, when they want to learn. You have to make it safe, and you have to create these systems, programs, and you know, this whole thing, not even related to jiu-jitsu, it's just business. You know, and it's one of the biggest sacrifices that I'll tell you, and I'll tell everybody out there, if you're planning on opening an academy here, and at least in the U.S., it's a lot of sacrifices. There's a lot of sacrifices, and you know, I was one of those sacrifices. So there's a lot of things that I had to give up to make it successful, you know. And now, you know, after 6 years running, and we have a beautiful academy. You know, my students compete. My students are the reflection of that work, and that's my pride. That's my pride.
Yeah, and definitely the student success is our best return, right?
Absolutely, and that's something we were talking about in the beginning, right? It's like we want to continue learning because we want them to be more successful. That we want them to be better. That we want them to continue learning, right? And there will be more of them to come. So,
yeah. But my question was that one. On your competition time, how you deal with injuries?
Yeah.
And that's especially interesting for me because on my prime, of course I don't have a prime, but on my good days, you know, when I was youngster, we just don't give a shit for injuries, you know. And now I'm 41, and I feel many regrets about this because I don't recover as much as possible. I didn't pay attention physical therapy, and you know what I mean, right? How you deal with this?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things to touch on that, right? One, is that 20 or 15 years ago, we weren't as smart as we are today. The just sport and physical aspect of contact sport wasn't as knowledgeable as it is today. So again, we're going back to the same topic of today's students are a little bit more spoiled. They're smarter. They're just smarter to, how to deal with injuries, how to stretch. Like when I was training as a blue belt, I didn't stretch. We didn't warm up. I put my gi on, tie my belt, boom, go.
And just go
100%. 100%. Yeah. That's it, right? So, but today is different, right? So how did I deal with it? Similar to you. We went hard. We trained hard. We trained all the time. Taking a break was not even an option. Like every day in the gym, sometimes twice a day, and we were training hard. Today, I think this is where you have to be smarter. That beating on the body in jiu-jitsu is quite a bit over a period of 10 or 20 years. It adds up very, very fast. And I can tell you, I had 3 knee surgeries, dislocated shoulders, broken ribs, like all these things. It's not something that you want to look forward to. And I think this is one of those parts where us as instructors, we have huge responsibility to teach our students, especially the younger ones. The younger guys, 18, 20, 25, they don't see that side yet. They don't see how important it is to recover, how important it is to stretch, how important it is to take care of their body, nutrition and even hydration. All these things are so critical because they might not bring, the immediate view right now, but in the long term, your performance will skyrocket, and then obviously your body will recover much easier, and you're going to be able to train longer. I used to run a lot. They hurt, and that's one of the reasons.
That's why you're cycling.
Well, that's why I'm cycling, right? Cycling is my.
I find you on
Instagram. You stalk me. You follow me. Yeah, but it's that's why I cycle. Yeah, and I cycle. I love bike. Man, I wish I was in Brazil where there's no winter. Oh, Chicago.
It's off the area.
But I love biking. I love getting on the bike and just for an hour straight. It's like almost like jiu-jitsu. You're not thinking, you're just going. Another funny story. How you know that you are a complete jiu-jitsu geek? When you fell off the bike thinking about jiu-jitsu techniques.
Right.
True happened. I'm biking and I'm thinking, I'm not even thinking. Like I was thinking about jiu-jitsu, this and that, and I lost balance. Went over. I was like.
And then you hurt yourself because you're thinking about BJJ, not even practicing.
I know. And then you have to go back to the academy. It's like, what happened to you? Nothing. What did you run? No. You can't tell them the story because now everybody knows. But you can't tell them the story. They're going to laugh at you. What? You fell off the bike? Yeah.
Are you some kind of kid or anything? Like 3 years old, 4 years old?
Yeah, right? But listen, it's when it comes to take care of the your own body, I tell my students, and it's hard because they don't see it, right? So it's like you're trying to convince somebody the sky is red when it's really blue. It's like they don't see it yet, but this is where good instructors will come in really powerful to stop them from training too hard, to switch to drilling, to do conditioning, to do, even stretching or yoga, things of that nature, right? To supplement things where you're still learning, but you're not have this physical pounding on your body. I'm a huge fan of drilling. It doesn't matter how simple the drills are, but I tell my students drill over and over and over and over until you don't think. It take 4 or 5 steps and make it into one when it comes fast, and that is what's going to make you really, really good. So You were talking about Gianni Grippo. He's a drilling monster.
Yeah.
Oh my! Look at his Instagram. He drills like for like hours.
Yeah, I hate him because of this.
Man, there's a young kids. That's why I can't do it. I'm
Yeah.
not too old, but
And you said something very interesting to me because the young guys they looks like if I give a break, I'm not brave, you know?
or I'm not
So-
getting better.
Yeah. Then they think, oh, maybe I want to train more and even 101% and give all my effort. I usually say that, okay, but you're supposed to be alive tomorrow, right? And then how you going? It's like a car.
Yeah.
You full up of gas, and then you cross the country, but
Yeah.
you don't stop to put more gas. How
Yeah.
you supposed to come back?
Yeah, that's exactly it. You gotta maintain it. You gotta take care of you, you know? So yeah, it is, I look at it as our job as instructors to teach them that, to guide them in the right direction. And listen, there is time where you gotta train hard. There is
Yeah,
time.
of
There is
course.
time.
Well,
There is time. Right? But it's not all year long. It's not all the time. You have to take breaks. You have to recover. You have to be smart about it. So, yeah, believe me, you don't want to have knee surgeries like I did. So,
Yeah, yeah. I also have bone surgeries on my face and lots of mass over my body just because I don't have this mindset. I don't have this guy to teach me, okay, now it's time to recovery. No need to train 3 times a day, 100%. And but one thing, Thomas, even for me nowadays it's hard to find this balance. An example, last year I compete on Masters International in Rio, right? It's like the most important Masters competition here in Brazil, because after that just the World Masters in US. So for us here in Brazil, this is the most important. Then I start to training and lift some weights, and then I start to think, man, I don't want to pass the limit because that's gonna affect me, right? With physical things like strength and conditioning, and I deal very nice. I don't gonna lie to you, but for jiu-jitsu, it's pretty hard, still pretty hard to me. Because an example, I was planning to train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but then sometimes on Thursday I said, man, maybe I should train today. But the competition training is so hard, man. The guys
yeah.
with the 20, 25, they
I
want
know.
to kill me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So then I hold myself, said, no, hold on. I will wait till tomorrow. Okay, breathe. Yeah. But then on the next week,
Same
guess
thing.
what? I was on the training session.
Yeah.
Then when I finish the week, like Saturday and Sunday, I supposed to relax. Then I use ice. I do some recovery things because I passed the limit. I
went too
crossed the limit. Yeah. Man, that's so hard still to myself.
Yeah, I know, and it's because we love jiu-jitsu. Like we just love it so much. Like if we could be on the mat every single day, we probably would. Like I remember something related to that, but I remember I had, after one of my knee surgeries, I was on the mat 2 days after surgery with my leg up, and I was sitting with a notebook and I was making notes, and I'm learning and I'm doing things, but like I couldn't not go. Like people thought, I was like, what are you doing here? I'm learning. What do you mean? You can't roll? Well, yeah, I have a cast on my knee. I can't roll. But
I can do a theoretical class.
Yeah, I can do something. So yeah, it's hard. I say jiu-jitsu is addictive. Like, it's in a good way, but it's once you start, it's so hard to get rid of it.
Yeah. Here, before this outbreak, we have a joke here in Portuguese. Jiu-jitsu is like a virus, Of course, now sounds a little bit.
You can't say it now.
Yeah. From 2020, we didn't use these terms anymore, but we usually said that, it's like a virus. As when you get infected, you cannot leave this anymore.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, not about 2020, huh? Just till 2019. Then we're gonna change this joke.
Yeah.
And Thomas, I have a note here. You mentioned a note. I have a note about you. And correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Okay.
Because I'm a BJJ professor, coach, or whatever, and trying to be a podcaster, right? Mm-hmm. You are BJJ professor, judo practitioner, businessman, podcaster, father, and much else. How you balance all these things in your life? You want to make me crazy, man.
Ask my wife.
I feel so lazy. I feel lazy when I see you doing all of these things.
Listen, I'll tell you two things. Well, there's one more thing on this list, which is our online video platform, which takes an enormous amount of time. No, you're fine, but I'm just like, this is literally what my days or my work is all about. Is teaching. Then we started this online library that we call RŌL TV, and it's essentially a documentation that we document things that we learn, essentially, so other students can have an easier access to it, right? And then we recently, in a way, thanks to COVID, we started this podcast a few months back, and that's focusing on a lot of conversation with, similar to yourself, with jiu-jitsu practitioners, jiu-jitsu fans, jiu-jitsu black belts, and telling their stories. And then obviously running business, and it takes a lot of time. I'll tell you, the secret is having a great team. There's no way I could do any of it or all of it by myself. There's no way. And I always say this, my manager at the academy, Ray, he does phenomenal job where I don't have to be there. I don't have to do everything. He runs things. I have podcast partner Gary, who does phenomenal job on the podcast.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Don't tell him. Don't say that.
Yeah, Gary, you are great, man. I'm your fan, Gary.
But Gary,
just because you said, don't say that.
Now his head is going to be this big. And this guy in Brazil says I'm awesome. But it's surrounding yourself with the right people. Surrounding yourself with the right doctors at the academy who teach classes, who teach kids classes, who teach adult classes. And I still teach a lot of classes. I do, because I love teaching. But, if I had to do this all by myself, it would not happen. So, but aside from that, I'm crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel lazy because I purely doing two things and you do maybe 10, 11, 20 things.
But you relax and I don't. So, I mean, your life is less stressful.
You think so? Yeah, tell to my wife.
Yeah.
And Thomas, if you don't mind, I have a commercial break when I put some of my supporters here in Jiu-Jitsu Café podcast. It's less than 1 minute. Then when we came back, I have a game to play with you if you don't mind. It's
Absolutely. Okay? Let's do it.
Okay. So guys, less than 1 minute, we will be back. Okay?
This episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is brought to you by BJJ Connections, connecting BJJ practitioners and athletes all over the world, including lifestyle, competitions, and much more. Follow BJJ Connections on social media for their amazing content. They are in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And this episode of Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast is also brought to you by Cervical Kimonos. Action is everything. The famous gi brand in the UAE and Middle East. Also, they are all over Europe and shipping worldwide. Cervical Kimonos, action is everything.
Hello guys, I said to you it's very quickly. We are here again. And Thomas, if you don't mind, let's play a game now. I have 10 back-to-back questions to you. And if you accept, I will ask you to answer the first thing you think about this. Is it okay?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Gi, blue, black, or white?
Oh, that's a hard one. I'll tell you, up to 6 months ago, it was white. I only had white gis for years. And then about 6 months ago, I got myself black gi, and I switched everything to black now. So it's all black now. Call me crazy. Black is right now.
Okay. Gi or no gi?
Gi.
Why?
I think it's more complicated. I know no gi guys are gonna criticize this, but I think gi is more complicated. There's more friction. There has to be more control, and I think it in my eyes it's more technical. In no gi there's a little bit more room for scramble. It's a little bit faster, and that's what allow it to be a little bit less controlled.
I agree with you. The nicest academy or arena you ever had to train or compete?
Oh, that's my academy.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. I mean, listen,
0% selfish.
Listen, there are some beautiful academies out there. You know, one of the ones that I recently visited last year before COVID was Christian Woodman C's Logic in Philadelphia in US. If you haven't seen that academy, take a peek at it. Beautiful, huge, large, beautiful mats. I mean, I loved it. And Christian is a great friend of mine.
Right. Great. Any particular song you like to hear when you go to your personal BJJ session?
No, actually I don't. I typically listen to something upbeat, something faster, and something louder. So when I'm sparring, I don't want to hear other people. I like to hear a louder, not really like super loud, but louder music where we can just zone out and we can go at it.
Right. Favorite food?
Sushi.
Whoa, that's amazing. Best quality in your training partner?
That's a tough one. I don't know if I can pinpoint one. Trust. I gotta say trust. And it kind of goes globally across everything. Trust from tapping, trust from telling me that I'm doing the right things or I'm not doing the right things. Allow me to train the way I need to train, and they give me that feedback. So I think it boils down to trust for me.
Perfect. The main goal in your life?
My family, my kids. I want my kids to grow up, having good opportunities in their life, whether it's jiu-jitsu or not. That's up to them for them to decide. But family is important, between my kids and my wife, and then my students, my academy. I would love for it to continue doing what it's doing. I would love continue doing the impact that we are making on with the academy, and my students going doing better. And honestly, I would love for some of those purple and brown belts to start getting black belts, in the near future. That's amazing.
Nice, good one. The favorite city you visit because of the BJJ?
I don't know if I have favored one, but I'll tell you this. I traveled all over everywhere, and there was nowhere like California. All general, you know, especially San Diego area. It's like academy on top of academy on top of academy on top of academy. Is like you go jiu-jitsu, coffee, jiu-jitsu, coffee, jiu-jitsu, coffee, jiu-jitsu, coffee all day
It's
long.
like a dreamland.
I know. Like, you know, so let's go with that with my answer.
Right. And the last one for the game. Winter or summer to train, and why?
You know, here it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. We are indoors. We are not as lucky as you guys, where you have summer all year long and it's warm. In Chicago, we have brutal winters. So, for me, it doesn't matter. As long as the mat is clean and there are training partners, I'll train. So.
Right. I feel you a little bit jealous about the Brazilian weather, huh?
Oh, you got that? You got that little bit?
Just a little.
Just a little bit. Oh, man.
So that's it for the game, man. You can raise your arm 10-0. Very nice. Great. And you said San Diego about the BJJ Academy and coffee shop, BJJ Academy and coffee shop. Do you drink too much coffee, or just a regular coffee drinker?
I drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, like
here's the funny thing about this. I did not drink coffee at all, zero, until I opened my own academy.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then I don't know what happened, but something happened, and I started drinking coffee. And now my guys will tell you I drink a lot. I like good coffee, but I also like just coffee in general. So I'll drink coffee.
Nice. And you make your own coffee?
Sometimes, and sometimes I don't. It really all depends. My wife yells at me. She says I should be making my coffee all the time. I shouldn't be buying coffee, but
Right. And Thomas, we are close to our end of the episode, unfortunately, of course, because I simply love to host you here. You're such an amazing guy to talking, and man, it's pretty unbelievable to having you on the show. But before we finish that, let us know about your goals, about your academy goals in this 2021.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I look at it as kind of two stages, as far as the academy is concerned and my students, we want to get through this challenging time of the virus over the next few months. And then, in next year, we want to continue building it. We're going to continue building an academy, continue exposing, everybody to Jiu-Jitsu. I believe that Jiu-Jitsu changes lives. I believe that Jiu-Jitsu has an impact. And it's not only from a physical perspective. It's not from learning how to defend yourself or being a competitor. Really, the way how you have to think on the mat when you do Jiu-Jitsu, it changes the way how you think in your life and your job, and in whether you're troubleshooting things, arguing with people, solving problems, all that. I personally can relate to the way how I troubleshoot things on the mat, and I solve the problem of Jiu-Jitsu. So in my eyes, I would love for everybody to try it. Whether they decide it's for them or not, I always leave it for the person, for the student. But I would love for everybody to try it. So for 2021, that's my goal, to continue working at our academy and continue growing the sport of Jiu-Jitsu.
Perfect. That's amazing goal for the next year. And Thomas, how can people find you and find your gym, your podcast, your YouTube channel, and all of your virtual world?
Yeah, so the easiest probably the way is to go to our website, RŌLAcademy.com. It's RŌL Academy.com. Obviously, we have our online platform, which is RŌLAcademy.tv. We have our podcast, which is the RŌL Radio. But all these links are intertwined in between each other. We are all over social media, Instagrams, Facebook. So if you look for RŌL Academy, RŌL Radio, RŌL TV, you'll find them. We simplified the name. It's pretty simple. It's easy to find. And, same thing. I'm not going to spell my last name because my dad did terrible job with all the letters. It's the longest name in the world. But listen, if you want to connect with me personally, it's Rozdzynski BJJ. Rozdzynski BJJ. I'm everywhere, especially on Instagram. I'm very active on there. So take a look, take a peek, talk to me. Send me a message anytime. I always respond to all my messages. So
nice. And to finish our episode, Thomas, leave a message to our listeners, please.
Oh, that's deep. You put me on the spot. Let me think. Leave a message for leave a message for our listeners. Listen, Jiu-Jitsu is a lifetime journey. It's truly a lifetime journey. You can learn, in my opinion, all the techniques in a matter of just 6 months. But that's not what makes you a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. It's a lifestyle. It's the way how you carry yourself. It's the way how you continue learning, continue improving. And then most importantly, once you achieve that goal, it's how you relay that information to others, how you pass the baton, pass the knowledge to the next generation. So take your time, enjoy it, love it, and, continue training. I want to see all of you guys on the mat.
Perfect. Can't agree more, bro. Thomas Rozdzynski, thank you so much, brother, to being here. That's simply an amazing episode. Thank you so much for your time. I know you are so busy doing many, many things. And I can't wait to launch this episode and see how much the guy said about your stories and comments and everything. Thank you so much, bro.
Absolutely. Pleasure talking to you. And I'm hoping one day you come into Chicago and you're going to tap me out, right? That's the plan?
Yeah, okay. Going to Chicago sounds the easy way. But it's pretty hard, man. I'm sure about this. So, guys,
I appreciate you having me on the show.
Yeah, it's all my pleasure. Guys, we are Jiu-Jitsu Café Podcast with one more episode today with this amazing guy, Thomas from Chicago. Stay tuned, and we are launch new episodes every week. Okay? Thank you again, Thomas. Peace.